This is Grog Talk. We are the guests. Yes. Let me push all these buttons. Welcome back.
And no, they didn't give me any medication.
We didn't give him anything for bipolar or any of that nonsense. He's fine. He's
no,
fine.
I'm
he's
not.
No, you're... I'm not saying you're not pleased or pleased that you're pleased. I'm saying that you're fine. You're a dad, and you're angry, and you should be. That's the whole point.
And this is one of the things that, for those of you that don't know of it, something called Reason Magazine. It's the monthly magazine of a libertarian think tank. And they are all about minimal government, less interference in your lives. And their science correspondent, Ronald Bailey, for example, often opines on these kind of problems and how the government gets in the way of people making rational choices in things like self-medication. And how the FDA gets in the way of people choosing when they're dying to try something radical.
Well, this isn't just that mentality, but it's also the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
For instance, he doesn't have any of his stuff. They decided to release him, and the doctor who told the orders told somebody to tell the ward, get his stuff together. His money, which was locked up in one place, and all of his clothes and everything else that they had taken from him in another place. And then I show up. They thought that I wasn't showing. I showed up at 5. They said, well, we weren't ready because we thought you were showing up at 7. Who told you that? But now he couldn't come home with his stuff because the guy with the keys, apparently there's one person with both keys, had left at 2:30. And if the flunky to the doctor had given them the right information at the right time, he would have been all set. But it's also all about the bucks. We're going back to the pain medication. They don't want to spend the money. And we're seeing this now with expanded Medicaid and everything else. It's not about the patient-doctor relationship. It's not even about the patient well-being anymore. It's about the bucks.
Rationing of it.
It's the rationing.
Which means you're going to get poor care or no care. And poor second-class medication.
Which is annoying because it's not like they don't want to spend money.
Or you end up on heroin.
Yeah. And
I happen to know something similar to your son. Not the money for the solution, it's the money that gets distributed among all the providers in the system.
Yeah. Yeah. So you spend a bunch of money on something that doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Kimberly, I'm sorry if I took you off topic.
No, you didn't. And I was just going to say, it's not just Maggie. It's the federal government that is, and you'll notice this with a lot of the legislation that's coming through. The federal government, from the Obama administration down, they can't get certain things done, so they're pushing it down to the states to pass. Like this ridiculous drug database that we have. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys know about it because I think I've gone off on it before. Mm-hmm. It's a drug database where anyone who prescribes anyone who prescribes prescriptions has to report to a state kept drug database certain prescriptions, and that includes pain meds for your dog or your cat.
Yeah, because you might take those.
So your name, if you, God forbid, oh my God, you actually have some pain, is in this database, and it says all your information except why you're taking the drug. So the police are actually allowed to get access to this database, or someone can report to the police if they think you're a drug addict or dealer, and it doesn't say, why you're taking this drug. So you could be taking all kinds of pain because you are dying of cancer. Dying. And the only thing that makes you, get through the day, through the rest of your days, is taking massive amounts of pain meds. But it doesn't say that in the database because of HIPAA laws. But it says your name, where you live, what your prescriptions are. It's absolutely outrageous, and I don't understand why the ACLU hasn't done a lawsuit. I am willing to be in that lawsuit because although I haven't taken any pain meds since this was put into place, I have a herniated disc from a car accident back in 1992. The only thing, on occasion, when I get into the pain that I can't relieve through ibuprofen, heating pads, resting, I take Vicodin. I have not taken it in months because of this database, because it's none of their goddamn, business that I, on occasion, have to take pain meds for actual pain that I have a record of having since 1992 with a herniated disc. And this is one of the problems. They are making people like me into criminals. People like your grandmother with cancer, or your aunt who has rheumatoid arthritis, or the guy who has been in construction for years and his back is messed up, but he still works in it because that's what he does for a living, but he needs pain meds to be able to work in it. So they're criminalizing law-abiding citizens. They're hurting law-abiding citizens, all for a minority of people who choose to take drugs. And if you start taking drugs because of pain from some accident or something, surgery you had, and you find yourself addicted, that's on you to deal with it, or your doctor to talk to you to deal with it, because after a certain amount of time, you should no longer be experiencing pain from a temporary surgery.
Well,
guys,
sometimes you have
but this isn't only for pain meds. They have Ritalin and other things like this. So if you have a kid who takes Ritalin because they have, I think it's for ADHD or ADD, whatever.
It is.
Okay, that's on that list. So if your child takes Ritalin on a regular basis to try to control ADHD, which I won't even get into that. That's a whole different topic. You're on that list. So this is what I'm saying. Like they are demonizing regular people. And I used to work. I was a consultant for a nonprofit insurance company in Massachusetts, and one of the things they did was they kept reports. And I know because I worked on the reports that tracked people what looked like drug shopping. They went to this emergency room this day to get pain pills. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the insurance companies are already tracking it. Emergency room doctors and nurses treat you like a criminal until they realize that you're not. If you have to go in because you're in that much pain. I don't know if you guys have ever had to do that. I have, and the emergency room absolutely treats you like a drug addict until they realize, oh, okay, this person's good. This person is actually in pain, and they actually need help. So Maggie's trying to say she knows better than emergency room doctors and nurses who have been dealing with this for absolutely years. And this is the problem, and they don't think about this. They're trying to help the small little help, quote unquote, the small percentage of society that's not going to be helped by what they're doing. And they're hurting the majority of society.
That's what government does.
You know what else the FDA did? DEA, not FDA. They made it so if you have a prescription for pain meds from your doctor, you can't just get them automatically faxed into the pharmacy like you used to. You have to actually go to your doctor's office or have written prescriptions and bring them into the pharmacy yourself. So if you're in massive amounts of pain, and you get to the point where you actually need your doctor to give you pain meds, it doesn't matter. You have to cause more pain to yourself, go visit your doctor, make that copay, then go all the way back home, and then go to the pharmacy. Whereas before, if you were in pain and your doctor knows you're not a druggie, whatever, they would fax it in for you.
That's true for a lot of drugs, actually, because I have some children who have some drugs that are on that list. And one of them has anger management issues, and if he doesn't get those, he gets really mad. And so he has to take them. But in order to get some of these, you have to go every single day. They won't auto-refill. Like, I take medication for ulcerative colitis. I never go to the doctor. I go to the doctor once a year just for a checkup. But, CVS Online, that whole deal, they call him to get it renewed. They fill it every month or whatever it is, and it just comes in the mail. And I don't have to do a damn thing. And it's wonderful. But my kids that have to take these, we have to call the doctor. We have to go down. They want to talk to them. They want to see how they're doing. There's a whole consult situation there. Then they write a prescription, and sometimes it's for the wrong amount of dosages, and it becomes this huge problem. Now that's for something that has nothing to do with pain. Now, if you have to do that when you're in pain, you're on a rooftop with a rifle. I don't know how. Eventually, it's just going to drive you nuts.
Well, and it'll also drive people to the street.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they'll go get heroin.
They're creating a whole new black market because when people who are actually in pain can no longer get the medicine they need because of these laws and these rules by morons, they are going to go to the street and they are going to get the drugs from there. And when they realize they can't afford to get the drugs from there, buddy, I don't have these drugs, but I have some heroin for you.
Yep.
I mean, they're just making this exponentially worse because obviously we all know the war on drugs has not worked.
That's very true. I could speak to that. I have a very close friend of mine, his brother, or her brother, I should say, got hurt at work, almost sliced his arm off. And then he was put on meds. He got better, and then eventually they're like, you can't have any more meds, or he had to go through these hurdles. He eventually just started getting into H over and over again, and he's dead now. He was 23.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he died. As his parents had tremendous blinders on. I didn't know him that well, but he was over for a Super Bowl the other year, and just on the couch you could tell. I mean, he had one beer, but he was completely out, and I knew he was in trouble. And the parents had incredible blinders and kind of enabled it and looked the other way. And one day, the mom came home and he was dead in his bedroom. That was it. And this is all because he couldn't get his painkillers.
Wow.
Eventually, he got driven out, and that was it.
Right, and the doctor should help him to wean himself off when it gets to the point where he should no longer need them. But this is where the government shouldn't be intruding. I say the doctor should. I mean, that's just good medicine. And at some point, the doctor's liable to a lawsuit if he doesn't practice good medicine. But that doesn't mean that the doctor should be criminalized for prescribing stuff that's necessary and proper, or that we make criminals out of individuals for choosing the medication that they need.
And there certainly has to be a therapy component in there, because you do get addicted to some of these drugs.
You do.
And you can't just stop taking them.
No.
You just can't just cut it cold turkey. You need somebody to help you walk back down the slope to get off this crap. Because really, once you get addicted to some of these things, you feel pain to take the drugs. Your body just says, hey, guess what? We love these drugs. And it's not everybody, but it happens.
Yeah, and you try and stop, even though you should have mended, you stop taking the drug and you're still feeling pain.
And the point is that there are people who are in real pain who are suffering because they haven't properly addressed a problem with the people who no longer are in pain but think they are.
And when you said it's addictive, it's very true. You guys remember Bob Beckel? He was on the 5.
Yes.
And he disappeared for a while, right?
Yep.
Nobody knew. Well, I heard him on the radio the other week. And why he disappeared is he hurt his back really bad. And when he was younger, he was a hardcore drunk and cokehead and had addiction problems up the wazoo. He writes about it in a book. And he said he hurt his back really bad, and all of a sudden he knew it. He goes, within 5 days, I recognized the addiction. He went back and he said, I got to get off the television. I have to go. He put himself in the rehab.
Didn't Rush Limbaugh get addicted to painkillers?
It was coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he got addicted to Oxy, and it made
like,
his
"That's
hearing
it."
problems worse.
Yeah. And the problem is, let me circle around just to make sure that we connect the dots once again, because in the beginning of the show and all through it, we've been talking about the self-esteem children that have gone through. And on one hand, we see what's going on the campuses and not a thing from a supposed adults to correct this behavior. But in this conversation now, we see the government treating us as not of children that don't deserve to have self-esteem to be able to decide for ourselves. Where, we've got regular adults that the government wishes to treat as children, and the dichotomy and the hypocrisy just abounds.
It's all related.
It's kind of ironic. It scares me to hear about this little registry that Kim was talking about, because they're doing this with pain drugs. What's going to be the argument and the philosophy to do that for the rather benign drugs? Like, I take a bunch of drugs, and compared to pain pills, they're rather benign. They're strictly to manage cholesterol and diabetes and blood pressure, but
Testosterone is on the list, Rick.
what?
Not that you're taking
Testosterone?
it. I'm just saying.
Hang on, we're going to come back and visit that in a minute. We have to take a break. About a minute. Stay on the line. We'll be right back.
Rock Talk.